Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of Pardon Our Picks, where perfection is a work in progress. I'm your host, Sam. Alongside me, as always, is our esteemed co-host, Tarik, the Orange Bomber. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. We're coming up on the last week of football before the playoffs, I think.
Supposedly.
Supposedly. So I'm
happens.
excited, ready to get those final playoff numbers going. We'll see where it goes. How you doing, buddy?
Doing pretty good, pretty good. Of course, alongside us, as always, Football Jesus. How you doing tonight?
I think this is my first full season making almost. I think I've been on every week of Pardon Our Picks this
You and
year.
I missed 1 week. You had a concert or something to go to.
Oh, right. Okay, so never mind. I'm going to save that for next year when I do all 18. But I'm feeling good. I mean, pretty good week of football. A lot of upsets last week. A lot of good football being played. So I'm hoping for another good one this week.
And of course, the tragedy that befell on Friday. We hope for the best for
Monday,
for
not Friday.
Monday. Sorry, we hope for the best for Damar Hamlin. We hope he gets better. Prayers are with him. So
Supposedly he's doing better. He's on less oxygen now, so he should be.
Yeah, he's making good progress. So, well, we are brought to you by Aardvark Concepts Incorporated. Aardvark Concepts, more than just a sign shop. And Into Deep of Maryland, catch their next show on February 4th at Twain's Tavern down in Pasadena. Should be a good show. Oh, and I haven't introduced the rookie. How you doing tonight, Sammy?
Doing good.
Yeah, you ready to make your picks?
Yeah.
That's right. So, with everything that's going on, we know that there's a few playoff spots left. And yeah, there's 7 playoff teams every year. We assume, we'll assume for now that this is the last week because we'll have to see what happens with the Buffalo-Cincinnati game. I have to ask the question, would the NFC playoff picture be better off with the Lions, who haven't made the playoffs in forever, the Packers, who are always in the playoffs, or the Seahawks, who are
sometimes
with that quarterback they got right there? So what do you guys think?
I'll take the reins on this one. I think the NFL playoffs are going to be better if Detroit makes it, because now, granted, we all bow our heads to the NFL overlords, and we recognize this is probably the most profitable sport in the U.S.
We call it the world. We can call it the world. We call it the World Series.
But I was going to say the other, the across the pond football is probably more profitable. But I say the Detroit Lions because I myself am a diehard baseball fan, and I see the trend in baseball where the same 3 or 4 teams are consistently making the playoffs and making deep runs. Now, you're not going to get that same formula in football because, unlike baseball, there's a salary cap. And every team in the NFL is confined to spending the same amount of money from a wide pool of players, but no one expected the Detroit Lions to be anywhere near going into week 18 and having a shot at a playoff berth. And considering how long it's been since they've even been in the playoffs, I think Detroit, because I think not only are Detroit fans are going to be interested, but it's going to lead to a lot of good media for Detroit and see a lot more of those middle of the road to high profile free agents want to go to Detroit, considering what they can do with less.
I will completely agree with my co-host. 100% emphatically, just couldn't have said it any better. I have mentioned multiple times over the course of this season how good it is, how shocked I am at these teams that we've written off in years past are making it, are proving to be a force to be reckoned with. I mean, you got the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are like a contender. You got the Lions. You got, some of these other teams that we're just like, nah, they're just not going to win. And you'll deal with the 1 to 2 games that year that they win because they're going to lose the other 16. So I completely agree because we're finally starting to see that paradigm shift a little bit. Because so I really started getting into football around 2000 in high school, and from high school to like what 2015, it was the same teams. It's the same teams every time. You knew the Patriots, the Colts, the Broncos. Like you knew these teams were just going to win no matter what. And now we're finally starting to see that shift to some of these other teams that we've written off. The cap is finally starting to add a play. They're finally starting to learn like that curve, like these names that dominated for so long are now starting to retire or move on or age or whatever. So I will completely agree that I think out of those like three teams, if that's what we're doing the middle most here, I'll say the Lions.
Sammy, which team would you rather see in the playoffs? The Green Bay Packers, the Detroit Lions, or the Seattle Seahawks?
I picked the Packs.
The Packers. This man is a traditionalist. I have to agree with you guys. The Lions just I'm a big on the underdog. I love the underdog story. The Lions have won 4 of the last 5 in pretty dramatic fashion, pretty good fashion. The Packers, however, I mean, they've won their last 5 in a row, but we always see the Packers. Always see the Packers. And you know, the Lions, they never get an opportunity. The last time they were in the playoffs, I think they lost to Dallas, and that was like 5 years ago. 5-6 years ago, they played Dallas in the playoffs. Yeah. Okay. My colleague has informed me that I'm correct. Just but it's good for the parity of the league to have different teams in there, to have that separation of the great teams, and it's nice to see new blood. Nobody, I mean, only unless you're a Yankees fan, nobody wants to see the Yankees in the playoffs every year, but they do it anyway. So why not let the little guy have a little fun? That being said, let's take a look at how much fun this little guy had in the standings this year.
And Brady's out.
Oh man, I got some really nice art on my wall back here, folks. You want to take a look at this?
Little guy went 8-7 last week because we had the one game that hasn't concluded yet. Me and Tarik tops with 10-5. I did change my pick from the Ravens to the Steelers, and
if I had done that, then I would have won the week.
You would have.
And until the fourth quarter, I thought I was going to win that. And then the fourth quarter happened, and I got very mad, and I was not happy.
Yeah. I figured without Lamar in there, they just couldn't sustain it.
Well, I mean, I figured without Lamar, if it was going to go one way or the other, it would just go in the direction, not be a cruel tyrant and dangle hope and then let it drop.
That's sports, man. I mean, that's Baltimore sports.
That's Baltimore sports. Oh, the Orioles are good all of a sudden. Oh, no.
Yep, never mind.
Oh, the Ravens are going to win. Okay, never mind.
It's a big bang. So Jessica's still in the lead by 4. Technically, I could catch her.
Do some wild swings.
We'll have
I mean,
to see.
technically, any of us can catch her.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
she'd have to get 0.
She would, and you guys would have to have picks different than hers, at least a certain number. But Brady still within striking distance of Tarik. 3 games back. 3.
And I got 1 week to do it. So, folks,
right.
I'm going to give you some less than reputable answers to some of these picks, but I got to make a move.
You got to make a big swing one way or the other.
He's gonna have to.
I'm calling my shot like Babe Ruth, the guy who was born in Baltimore, and definitely not the New York Yankee.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm calling my shot for 3rd place.
Look at that. He's trying to shave his head.
And I want to go to first place.
You want to go to first place.
Yep.
Boy, you said it. I think next year you might just win first place. But let's take a look at our games of the week. We'll start with football Jesus. Give us that gospel.
Well, I mean, we all kind of hit the nail on the head talking about this team in our question of the week. So I'm going to have to go with the Detroit Lions going against the Packers. I mean, Tarik hit on it last week. I mean, when you get this late in the season and you start talking about how the NFL made a smart decision and decided to make the last few games of the season be divisional games so they matter, this is what they were talking about. 2 8-8 teams, both riding hot streaks, both vying for a playoff spot. I think the Packers have a win and in situation, and the Detroit Lions need a little bit of help.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you why I'm going with the Detroit Lions on this pick. Detroit Lions, when they played the Packers last in Detroit, held Green Bay to less than 10 points. I forget the exact number. I think it was 8. But that sounds wrong. And Detroit has been really good at running the football these last couple of weeks. Was it 9?
It's 9.
Yeah, okay. They've been really good at running the football these last couple of weeks, which normally, I mean, we've seen their passing offense, especially early in the season, be really good. But now they're finally starting to develop a run game with DeAndre Swift and Williams in the backfield, kind of creating that 1-2 punch of a talent guy, a speed guy out of the back who can catch passes in Swift, and a bruiser in Jamal Williams, who used to play for Green Bay, who has set a career number in touchdowns this year with the Detroit Lions. And Green Bay, they absolutely shellacked the Minnesota Vikings last week, which I don't think any of us saw coming. But it was on the strength, or really the weakness, of the Minnesota Vikings offense that they were able to do that. I mean, Kirk Cousins threw 3 interceptions. They had a pick 6, a kick 6, and I mean, that was basically it, because by the time both of that happened, the Vikings were down to like their 14th starting center or something like that. So I'm going with what I think is the underdog in this one. I'm sure some of my co-hosts will agree, but I'm picking the Lions in this one because they've got grit, they've got heart, and I really, really would love to see Detroit even just make it to the playoffs and Aaron Rodgers sit at home with his ayahuasca and lament that terrible haircut he has.
Don't you have the same haircut?
No, mine's better.
He recently changed his haircut, so it's different.
So this is one of those games. I was going to pick this game before Brady texted our thread.
Oh, he's gonna be faster.
He's always on the button with that.
Yeah. So this was going to be mine. This is one of those games that, as my dad used to say, are you picking with your head or are you picking with your heart? So this is like, my heart agrees with Brady. I want to pick Detroit. Brady said, "Oh, I'll tell you why." He already told us the reason why he's picking, because he needs an offset answer to try and catch me up.
I honestly believe this one. I don't think this is a reach for me.
Right. Yeah.
This is not what you'll see. Some reach picks. Don't worry.
I'm picking Green Bay out of familiarity, if I said that correctly. So
yeah.
Green Bay's been here. They know how to make the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers may have forgotten some of the stuff earlier in the season, but Green Bay has been getting better towards the end of the season. They know what it takes. They know what to do. Detroit can't remember what it feels like. They don't know. It's a distant memory. So I think it's going to be a really close game. Excuse me. I think it's going to be a really close game, but I think it's going to be like, it's just going to come down to like experience. Like, how does Tom Brady keep winning, even though like you could tell he's aged and other things like that? Because he knows what to do. He's done it a million times. He's unfortunately got more rings than anybody else. Aaron Rodgers been to the Super Bowl with the Packers. They know what to do. I feel like they're just going to eke this one out and just kind of stiff arm the Lions. Like, I'm going to stiff arm Brady and keep him in last place.
No, not
Who'd you pick this
today.
game?
Not in my house.
Detroit Lions or the Green Bay Packers?
Okay.
Green Bay Packers, huh?
He's
Wow.
a diehard Packers fan.
I'm telling you, man, he's all over the Packers.
I didn't know Cowboys plus Seahawks equaled Packers.
Apparently.
He doesn't like the Cowboys, apparently. So I went back and forth on this one. I know, really, Green Bay, if they win, they're in. Detroit needs Seattle to lose and them to win to be in. So, which is interesting because Seattle plays earlier in the day. Detroit's going to know if they can make the playoffs. They're going to know before they play this game.
Well, everyone plays earlier than them.
I know. But their whole reasoning for putting everything on Sunday and trying to match things up is so that teams would have to play at the same time. Thus, people won't rest certain people. It's just, it was one of those things. But what they decided to do was they put this game at the end. I agree that this game should have been at the end of the day. The Lions, they got that incredible running game. They've won 4 out of 5. That inexplicable loss to the
Panthers.
I mean, my goodness. It was, yeah, who saw that coming?
No one here.
Green Bay has clawed their way back into playoff contention. I'm going on a hunch here. I know Jared Goff has not done well outside of a dome. Outdoors, he has been pretty bad this year. But I got the Lions stepping up to the plate and winning this one. So hopefully they get that opportunity to play in the playoffs. All right, let's move on to the next game of the week. We have the Orange Bomber. Why don't you drop one on us?
So I got a different divisional. Got to keep a straight face, Brady. We're professionals.
I
here.
can't with Sam and his analogies or whatever.
I've got my own divisional rivalry here. I've got the Saints and the Panthers. So not quite as interesting as Brady's magical game. But I tried to find one that had similar implications around this time of year. You want to watch the ones that are like in it, win and you're in. I don't think the Saints have an opportunity. They were on the bubble when I looked.
They're eliminated.
They're eliminated?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm wrong then.
I'll pick
So
7.
all my reasoning for this is completely out of the window. Forget everything I'm about to say. When I picked this, I looked on NFL.com and it said they had a chance with a win and somebody else loses, but apparently that's no longer the case. But what I was going to say, but you got a divisional rivalry, should still be good. You got Andy Dalton versus Sam Darnold. Panthers have struggled. Both these teams have struggled. They're both under 500. They've struggled all year long. But it should still be a fun game. This is still going to be a divisional. Should still be an interesting game. I got the Saints coming out on this one. Kind of the same reasons I just gave. But with both these teams with absolutely nothing to lose, I think it's going to be a little bit more of an interesting game. So let's see what my co-hosts think.
I disagree, of course. Mainly because I think this is just as interesting a game as the one that we just spoke about, because this is now has nothing to do with playoff standings, but draft pick standings. Now, neither of these teams are one draft pick away from being Super Bowl contenders in my mind, but they are division rivals. There is pride on the line for these teams. So I don't foresee any of these teams sitting any starters. I don't foresee any of these teams like playing. There's a child here, half-butted. Anything like that. I think this is going to be one of the hardest fought games of the week because they want to be the reason why the other team goes home. And I think the Carolina Panthers are able to do that with the strength of that revamped run game that I'm still dumbfounded on how got better once they got rid of Christian McCaffrey. And the defense, which they were offered multiple first round picks for certain players, and they said no, they believe in those players that they have there. So I'm going with the Carolina Panthers, and I think this is going to be the staple game that makes Steve Wilkes, the current interim coach, the head coach of the Carolina Panthers next year.
So yeah, this is a divisional game. They're not really playing for anything except for pride at this point. And no, neither of these teams are going to tank for a better pick. They're just not going to do it. They're not the Houston Texans. They're not the Miami Dolphins of yesteryear.
I remember, slight tangent. I remember back in 2012, was it?
Suck for luck.
The suck for luck for the
Yeah.
Colts. I remember that.
This is definitely not one of those games. I feel like both of these teams are going to come out. Yes, the coach is playing for possibly his job, although the owner has already talked to Jim Harbaugh about coming in for an interview. I think he's happy in college, but
he's one of the top spots for the Broncos too.
He's talked about in every circle that has a head coaching opening because he's been to the Super Bowl and to the NFC Championship game twice.
Yeah, and then he's like, I'm good. I did it.
Well, he got booted out by the GM over in San Francisco. They just didn't match. So
yeah. How dare you make the Super Bowl the playoffs twice? Coaches who never make the playoffs.
Well, Jim's a personality, and I think that was the problem. Is he's a personality, and the GM didn't like his personality. Hey, who did you pick in this game? Did you pick the Carolina Panthers or this New Orleans Saints?
I did pick a New Orleans Saints.
He picked the New Orleans Saints.
I did it already.
He did it already.
We'll do it again.
I am picking the Carolina Panthers because the Saints coming off that win over the Eagles last week, which were great. That was awesome. But like you said, the Panthers coach, he's playing for a job, and I think if he wins, he's going to be a strong candidate. I don't know that he gets the job, but he's going to be a strong candidate. And I see him getting to 7-9, getting that win, or 7-10, getting that win. So,
which is still a vast improvement for that team considering where they were last year.
Oh yeah, and they'd only won one game before they fired their coach. So, All right, let's get to my game of the week. Sammy, can you announce what my game of the week is? Tennessee Titans, Jacksonville Jaguars.
Chicago. I picked that one, and Dad picked that one.
You got to pick one or the other. Tennessee or Jacksonville?
Tennessee.
Tennessee. You picked Tennessee. Okay, I think that's correct. I think that's who he picked. This is for the division. Tennessee going with Josh Dobbs. Ryan Tannehill's after the season. Jaguars, after being in the cellar of their own division, minus, of course, Houston, who was Houston, in position to win that division. It's quite incredible the turnaround that they've had this year, especially given last year with the Urban Meyer debacle and the fact that at times they've looked lost. I think this is going to be a very interesting game. It is the first game. It is the second game of the week, the Saturday night game. Of course, the Chiefs and the Vegas Raiders are the first game on Saturday. I think this is going to be a very interesting game. I think the running game of the Titans are really going to challenge the Jaguars. It's going to be in the mid to late 20s for each team, and I see the Jaguars coming out on top to win that division after being counted out a while ago.
So this is interesting. Having been a fan of a different team in this division for many years, one of these teams I counted out, as we previously said, for years. I mean, we never really counted. The last time the Jags really amounted to anything was what's his name? Maurice Jones-Drew was the running back, and he was the only thing keeping them like in the running, no pun intended, for anything. And then when he left, they went right back into obscurity. No one really knew who they were. the Titans have been one of those teams that have touched greatness. They have some of the pieces there, and they just need to get that final push, and they're just not doing it. They're trying to rely like completely on Derrick Henry, and you need more pieces than that. And kind of like some other teams I won't mention that can't find a decent quarterback to facilitate the system. So this division's one of those in flux right now. You got Trevor Lawrence finally putting some oomph and chutzpah in the division, in the team, making them finally like putting those pieces together and getting the rhythm and everything going. I'm actually going to agree with Sam here. I think the Jaguars are going to do it. I think I feel like I've said this too many times. I feel like they can taste it. I feel like it's right there. They want it. I don't think we'll talk about playoffs probably next week, I'm sure, but I don't know how far they'll get. But they're trying for it. They're really trying. I think they got a good shot.
Well, as Tarik so eloquently put earlier about his father mentioning picking games between your head and your heart, my head and my heart both say pick the Jaguars in this one based on the fact that they played extremely well as an entire team the last time the Titans played. But as the viewers and my co-host know, I am behind, so I need to make some picks. So this is one of those picks where I'm picking the Titans, and I'm going to tell you why.
Why?
So looking at the stats from the last time these two played, which was 3 weeks ago on December 11th, Derrick Henry only had 17 carries, but he had 121 yards and a touchdown. And in that game, Ryan Tannehill threw the ball 38 times. I do not see the Tennessee Titans allowing Josh Dobbs to throw the ball 38 times. So I expect the Tennessee Titans offense to be run almost exclusively through Derrick Henry. You two are a mess. I expect the Tennessee Titans offense to be run almost exclusively through Derrick Henry, even though Josh Dobbs gave the Cowboys a run for their money on his last start. I mean, he looked way better than anyone anticipated. I mean, there was memes and jokes being made about the Tennessee Titans and Malik Willis about how they signed a guy and then 4 days later he's their starting quarterback. So I don't think it's a smart pick, but I think there is a chance because every time the Titans play the Jaguars, Derrick Henry puts up big numbers. So if the Titans are going to win, expect Derrick Henry to rush for over 150. But I'm going with the Titans.
All right. That being said, we're going to jump into Jessica's game of the week. She couldn't be here with us today. She's out doing things with her male friend.
With her boo.
She picked the Cowboys at Washington. Now, Washington did just announce that their third string quarterback is going to be starting the game.
Who is that? Is that Brady?
Sam Howell.
Yeah, how?
I was going to be Brady Janarski.
Hey, I'll take one game check. If Micah Parsons wants to light me up for 4 quarters, I'll take a game check. I do not care.
You're going to be folded in half like that guy from like 4 weeks ago.
Cool. I got some time to burn from work. Let's do it.
Who did you pick? Did you pick the Dallas Cowboys or the Washington Commanders?
He did.
Of course.
He never picks the Cowboys.
He does not like picking the Cowboys. Is it because the Cowboys are my favorite team? Yep. Yeah. He just shook his head. Yeah, of course
I'm
it is.
going to go against Dad.
Yep. So, Dallas, three different scenarios could happen for Dallas Cowboys. 1, they get the number 5 seed. 2, they get the number 2 seed. 3, they get the number 1 seed. Depending on who wins and who loses.
What?
They would need Philly to lose. Probably won't happen. San Francisco to lose. Probably won't happen. And they need to win to get the number 1 seed. If they win and Philly loses, they win the division and they get the number 2 seed. And of course, if Philly wins, they get the number 5 seed. This team is a dangerous team going into the playoffs. Washington with their third string quarterback is just, I think they're just ready to get to the next year. even though they're going to give Dallas a game because it's a rivalry game. I see Dallas coming out of this one after probably benching Dak Prescott at halftime.
I agree, but I'm looking at the schedule. Both the Eagles and the 49ers play before the Cowboys do.
Play at the same time.
So they play at the same time. Oh,
4:25.
4:25. Yeah. So depending on, I mean, because scoreboards are everywhere in NFL stadiums. I'm going with the Cowboys in this one. I'm not as desperate for wins that I'm picking the Commanders. But I am excited to see how Sam Howell plays. He looked really good in the preseason. But I do think the Cowboys could be doing a lot of scoreboard watching in this one. And if San Francisco gets up big, and it doesn't look like the Cardinals, who are just marred with injuries, Kyler Murray's out, and they're saying he may not be ready for the start of next season. DeAndre Hopkins is out. Now they're, quarterbacks in flux for the season. So I think the Cowboys are going to win this, but I do think there's a chance this game is going to be close because I think Dallas, realizing their seeding may be out of their hands, decides to pull some starters and give them a little bit extra rest. But Dallas.
I like the one thing Brady said, even though it has no bearing on really anything, is the scoreboard watching, because I always like it at the end of the year when they pan over to the bench and you just see 24 guys going, because they're reading that scrolling marquee, waiting to see who's winning. What's gonna happen? So just one of the little things I enjoy watching about the end of the football season. I really can't disagree with either one of you. I'm picking the Cowboys. Like Brady, I'm not glutton for punishment. I tend to pick the Cowboys anyway. They tend to be usually my NFC team. But they've looked really good this year, and they got a lot riding on this. And with the potential, I did not know they had a potential to be 1 or 2. So that's pretty good. We'll see what they do. I'm not a big proponent of resting players like that. I've seen players go into the playoffs cold if they rest too much. And this is the only sport I'm familiar with where you're resting for games. Like every other sport, hockey, basketball that I watch, or baseball, it's sitting for an inning or it's sitting for whatever. It's not like multiple games or whatever like that. So, but I see Dallas winning this. I think it's going to be close. Should be a fun game like all these that we've already discussed. But yeah, I'm picking Dallas.
All right. It's going to be an exciting week 18. Let's take a look at the pop panel pick'ems. Only a few dissenters within here. Me and Sammy, the only ones that picked the Falcons. Tampa Bay is going to rest their starters. It's as simple as that.
But the Falcons suck.
They've said that they are maybe resting their starters.
Tom Brady needs a break.
Tom Brady needs a break. That entire team needs a 8-month break at this point.
Tom Brady needs a permanent break where he stops playing football.
That too, but
and not Brady's rude text that he sends in the middle of a Sunday.
that Tom Brady is Tarik's now his best friend for winning the game.
Yeah.
Other than Tom is my brother and Brady is my friend. That's the only
The streams are crossing, Tarik.
You're crossing my brother's stream.
And of course, the Titans picked by Brady and the rookie. And the rookie picking New England, which with what's going on, could happen.
Very well, yeah.
Now, I almost picked Chicago, but he was the only one bold enough to do it.
Pick that.
Yeah, even with how just poor Minnesota looked last week on offense, Chicago looked even worse somehow.
Well, Minnesota's not playing for anything really, except for a 2 or a 3 seed. It's the only thing they're playing for. They cannot win the number 1 seed. They can't lose the division. So
I am interested to see though that I'm not the only one who took a swing at the Texans. just
Yes.
because they're starting their third quarterback again.
Yes, but Jess isn't here to defend herself.
She is not. I'm going to be questioning her about that
Well-
later, but I'm sure she's got a valid reason.
Because Matt Ryan's 80 and Nick Foles got hit too hard and a snow angel made next to him, so he's out. So they're back to Sam Ellinger.
And the
this
Texans
week at
have looked
quarterback.
decent.
Yeah, but without Jonathan Taylor, I mean, because he's out for the season.
Yeah.
So
my Ravens and my Miami picks might be switched there.
Well,
no,
they're
keep them the
going-
same.
Miami's going probably third string quarterback.
Yeah, they're going Skylar Thompson or Mike Glennon from
Mike Glennon, man,
who hasn't been in the league in like 10 years.
Sure. But like the Jets have been so hit or miss and wish-washed like throughout the season. Like that's why it was a little tough for me. And the Ravens have shown even without Lamar, they're doing their we'll win for 3 quarters and give up at the end. So
I mean, the Dolphins still have a chance to make the playoffs if they win.
And they need a lot of help.
And they don't need that much help. They need New England to lose. That's what they need. They need to win and New
I
England
also
to
need
lose.
to keep Brady in his place. So I may just synergy
Yeah,
so that I don't go down.
If I hit on a couple of these wild picks, you may need to keep them. Like I can see Tarik on Sunday, like watching his phone, like, oh God, that game he got it right. I got to keep these. I got to change this.
I might be going over Sam's to watch the game, so I might be Sam. Change my pick real quick.
Oh, it's not happening. I'm not changing anybody's pick. You got to change it yourself.
Huh?
So you're going to be changing your own picks. I'm not changing your picks for you. You do it yourself. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but if I change it there, then you don't know. Then that doesn't count for your records.
Yeah, it does. If you change it on Yahoo, it changes what I see and what we go with.
You said you couldn't see them.
I can't see them until the game starts. I can't see them until the game starts.
I'll still be telling you.
I'm sure you will be. And I'll be telling you the same thing. Change it yourself, dang it. Sammy, of course, doesn't pick against the Ravens. He loves the Ravens.
Smart kid.
Yeah. And I'm not even sure Tyler Huntley's going to be playing in that game because he's having issues too. So
Yeah, because he can't throw the ball.
Yeah, I mean,
shoulder
honestly, and this is speculation just from my perspective, it may honestly depend on what the league decides to do with the Buffalo Cincinnati game. If they decide to call it there one way or another, there may be no real bearing on the Ravens standing because they already locked in a playoff position. So they may wind up going with Anthony Brown at quarterback and, resting some people who are questionable, but, an extra week may get them healthy enough to play. So,
True. Only a pair of Saints and only a pair of Browns. I know Pittsburgh can get into the playoffs with lots of help, but I see the Browns winning that one, man. Just something tells me that the Browns are going to get theirs against the Steelers.
Nick Chubb has been having probably the quietest, greatest season ever because I never see him mentioned unless it's watching this Cleveland Browns game. But he is just taking chunks of yards every time he gets the ball. And, we kind of saw that when the Ravens, when they weren't, running directly into the line and falling down a la Jamal Lewis in like 2002, that the Steelers' run defense is very porous. So I think Cleveland's going to be able to exploit that. Well, I hope they can because Deshaun Watson can't throw.
Yeah. Well, he's going to have an opportunity this week. He's going to need to throw it a little bit. I think the Cleveland defense is decent enough to hold Pittsburgh to a low score.
Agreed. I
The
will say,
Saints-
though, I am extremely interested about the New York Philly game because Philly is still playing for positioning, but New York isn't, and they could rest all of their starters, but Philly has to, even though Philly has the better record. So I think the Giants play everybody, but I think it's going to be a very close game.
I was gonna say I think the Giants play everybody too, but that's just a hunch.
Yeah, I mean, because if they can keep Philly from having the number 1 seed, I mean, that's a feather in your cap right there going to the playoffs.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. They would love that.
Divisional opponent. You're the reason why they don't have home field advantage, and Philly's proven to be a very difficult place to play this year. So, especially going into January.
It'd be funny if they beat the Eagles and Dallas won the division.
God, that would be the craziest thing I think to happen this year, and that's saying something considering
this
how
has been a
hot
weird
Philly
year.
started.
This has been a weird year, so that would be, as you said, the feather in the cap to just one of the craziest years in football that I remember. So.
Yeah, where Philly looked like they were going to be the next 1970 whatever Dolphins and go undefeated, and then the Commanders came out of nowhere and stopped them in their tracks, and they looked human again for the first time. So
only one Rams. And
swing for the fences, folks. Don't care. I got to call my shot.
I see that.
I'm calling a moonshot.
And given the fact that if Seattle wins and the Lions win, Seattle wins, makes it to the playoffs. I'm kind of hoping that the Rams win that one. But, I mean, it is what it is. I've got Seattle. I'm going with that pick because I feel like they're going to win it.
There's no, I say this now, there's no chance that the Rams win this game. But I have to go crazy a little bit. And
you feel more comfortable swinging for that one than other games?
100%, because I knew no one else was going to pick the Rams. So if I'm going to do it, this is the game to do it.
That's true.
Chicago?
No.
Yeah, you could have picked Chicago. You could have picked the Washington Commanders to beat the Cowboys. Cowboys resting people. By the way, the line on the Green Bay Lions game is Green Bay by 4.5 points.
Isn't home given like 3 points? So
3 points, yeah. So they're still favored. No matter
Green
what.
Bay by 1.5, essentially.
Pretty much. But this should be an interesting week. We'll have to see how it goes. See what the league determines for the Bills game
Bengals.
that they, the Bills Bengals game that they postponed. So, yeah. And of course, a quick shout out to my mama. Happy birthday. She was
Happy
born
birthday, Mama.
today,
Happy
59
birthday.
years old. I'm putting that out there.
Nah, she can't be a day over 30.
Hey, my grandmother did that. My grandmother was 29 for like 60 years.
Yeah. It'd be weird because I'm 37.
Hey, you're just old, man. She's young.
I am.
You're old. Your mama's young.
Yep.
All right. Thank you guys so much. We're so thankful that you guys watched all season long. Thank you for reaching the end of the season. Click like, subscribe, comment down below. How many?
And don't forget
Wild
to
swing.
like and subscribe the channel.
That's my line, Sammy. That's my line.
I did say that
No, it's my line. You can't.
before. Now mine.
No, you only get it when
Mine,
I'm not here.
mine.
You only get it when I'm not here. Brady tried to take my co-host job last year. It didn't work. I'm still here.
It made for good television, Tarik.
It totally did.
Don't
I
forget
loved
to
it.
like and subscribe the
I absolutely
channel.
loved that last year.
This one's at least more adorable. He has an outside shot.
Yeah. True.
Also helps. I sense nepotism. I sense nepotism with that one.
Oh, man.
That's too big of a word for this broadcast.
So did Sam because he ran away. All right. Again, thank you guys. Click like, click subscribe, comment who you think's going to win, comment who you think's going to make the playoffs. Click that bell so you know when our videos come up. And thank you again so much for a good football season. Thank you to my co-hosts, one of whom is not here, for making this fun weekly thing to do. And as always, I'm Tarik.
I'm the guy that's probably going to have a paper bag on his head next week. Football Jesus.
What's your name?
Sam.
He's Sam, and I'm Big Sam. And you have a great football week.
Bye,
Yeah.
guys.
See ya.